The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Council chamber stretched high above the representatives from across the galaxy. Hundreds of different species filled the curved seating areas, their voices creating a constant buzz of political chatter that echoed through the vast space. The morning session on Zentari Prime had started like any other, with routine trade disputes and territorial boundary adjustments being discussed in the typical boring fashion that marked most council meetings. Captain. Jake Morrison sat quietly in the small human section, flanked by Dr. Lisa Park and Admiral Sam Carter. The three humans looked tiny compared to the towering reptilian saurians or the crystalline beings from the Andromeda sectors. 15 years had passed since humanity first made contact with the galactic community, but they still felt like newcomers, among civilizations that had been traveling the stars for thousands of years. Jake adjusted his simple blue uniform and watched the morning proceedings with mild interest. Earth had only 12 colonies spread across 6 star systems, making them one of the smallest political entities in the Council. Most days, the human delegation simply observed and voted on matters that rarely affected their small corner of the galaxy. Today felt different, though, and Jake could not shake the feeling that something important was about to happen. The change came when Ambassador Vextar of the Zephyrian Empire rose from his ornate golden throne. The tall, pale humanoid commanded attention wherever he went, and his species controlled over 300 star systems. When Vextar spoke, the entire galaxy listened. The chamber fell silent as his amplified voice filled the space. Honored representatives, Vextar began, his tone carrying the authority of someone used to being obeyed. We must address a growing concern that threatens the stability of our galactic order. The human expansion into previously unclaimed territories has proceeded without proper oversight from this council. Jake felt his stomach tighten. Lisa leaned forward in her seat, her scientific mind already analyzing the implications of what they were hearing. Admiral Carter remained perfectly still, but his experienced military bearing suggested he was prepared for whatever might come next. Vextar continued his speech, his words carefully chosen to present humanity in the worst possible light. These newcomers have established colonies in 17 different systems over the past 5 years, claiming territorial rights based on outdated expansion protocols. Their military vessels patrol these regions with what can only be described as aggressive intent. The human delegation exchanged glances. Every colony they had established followed exact galactic law. Every ship movement had been properly documented and submitted to the appropriate committees. They had been more careful than most species to avoid any hint of improper behavior. Furthermore, Vextar said, his voice rising with dramatic effect, humanity has consistently refused to share technological developments with the broader galactic community. Their research facilities operate in complete secrecy, developing unknown capabilities that could threaten the balance of power we have maintained for millennia. Murmurs spread through the chamber as other representatives began nodding in agreement. The Crystalline Collective's representative chimed their approval in musical tones. The Saurian delegation hissed their support. Species after species began voicing their concerns about human behavior, most of which seemed to come from fear of the unknown rather than any actual wrongdoing. Jake requested permission to speak, following the proper protocols he had learned during his diplomatic training. The council speaker, a floating jellyfish-like creature from the nebula worlds, granted him the floor with obvious reluctance. Honored representatives, Jake began, keeping his voice calm and respectful despite the anger building inside him. Humanity has followed every established protocol for expansion. Our colony requests have been properly filed and approved by the Expansion Committee. Our fleet movements are documented and transmitted to galactic traffic control as required by law. He paused, looking around the chamber at the hundreds of alien faces staring down at him. Some showed curiosity, others displayed obvious hostility, but most seemed to have already made up their minds about humanity's guilt. As for our technological developments, Jake continued, we have shared every discovery required by galactic law. Our medical advances have been submitted to the Health Committee. Our agricultural improvements are available to any species that requests them. We have never hidden anything that galactic regulations require us to share. Vextar interrupted with a dismissive gesture. Empty words from a species that thinks it can ignore the established order. The time for gentle diplomacy has passed. I propose immediate action to correct this situation before it spirals beyond our control. The Zephyrian ambassador outlined his solution with the confidence of someone who had already secured the necessary votes. Humanity would withdraw from all colonies beyond their home system within 72 hours. Their fleet would be disbanded and their ships surrendered to galactic authorities. Most importantly, all human research facilities would be placed under direct galactic oversight to ensure they posed no threat to galactic stability. The proposal sent shockwaves through the human delegation. Lisa gasped audibly while Admiral Carter's jaw tightened with barely controlled anger. Jake felt the weight of representing his entire species as he processed the impossible demands being made. And if humanity refuses these reasonable terms? Jake asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. Vextar smiled, showing teeth that seemed too sharp for diplomacy. Then the combined might of the Galactic Defense Force will ensure compliance. We have assembled the largest military coalition in galactic history specifically to deal with this threat. Over 40 species have pledged their fleets to this cause. The chamber erupted in discussions as representatives consulted with their home governments through quantum communication links. Jake could see the political calculations happening in real time as species weighed the costs of opposing such a large coalition against any benefits of supporting humanity. The vote was called within an hour. Species after species announced their support for the Zephyrian proposal. The final tally was devastating. 847 votes in favor, 12 opposed. Only humanity's few friends among the younger species had dared to stand against the overwhelming tide. Jake stood to deliver humanity's response, knowing that his words would determine whether the galaxy faced peace or war. The chamber fell silent, as every representative waited to hear whether humanity would submit to galactic will or choose to fight impossible odds. The United Earth government respectfully declines this proposal, Jake said, his voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. We have committed no crimes and will not abandon our citizens or surrender our sovereignty based on unfounded accusations. Vextar's response chilled everyone present. Then you have 72 hours to reconsider. After that, the galaxy will make the choice for you. As the session ended and representatives began filing out of the chamber, Lisa noticed something troubling in the behavior of the alien delegates. They moved with the confident anticipation of predators who had cornered their prey, as if they knew something about human capabilities that humans themselves did not fully understand. The three humans sat alone in the emptying chamber, facing the reality that their species had just been given an ultimatum by the entire galaxy. In 3 days, they would either surrender everything they had built among the stars or face a war against impossible odds. Admiral Carter finally broke the silence. Well, they certainly picked the wrong species to threaten. The command deck of the Earth cruiser Phoenix hummed with urgent activity as Admiral Sam Carter established emergency communications with military leaders across human space. The quantum communication array flickered to life, displaying holographic images of Earth's top commanders in a semicircle around the Admiral's chair. General Kevin Walsh appeared first, his weathered face showing the strain of coordinating ground forces across 12 different worlds. Colonel Amy Rodriguez followed, her sharp eyes already analyzing intelligence reports from her networks embedded throughout alien space. Jake Morrison stood beside the communication console, still wearing his diplomatic uniform but now serving as a military liaison rather than a peaceful ambassador. The transition from diplomat to war coordinator had happened faster than anyone expected, but humanity had always been good at adapting to changing circumstances. Report, Admiral Carter said simply, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had spent 40 years preparing for exactly this type of crisis. General Walsh spoke first, his image flickering slightly due to the vast distances involved in quantum communication. All colony defense forces are at maximum readiness. New Haven has activated their planetary shields, and the mining colonies have sealed their atmospheric domes. We have 60,000 ground troops spread across our territories, but they're facing possible invasion by millions of alien soldiers. Colonel Rodriguez pulled up a holographic display showing troop movements throughout Zephyrian space. Intelligence confirms massive military buildup in 37 different systems. They're not just planning to threaten us anymore, Admiral. This is a full invasion force designed to occupy every human world simultaneously. Admiral Carter studied the display with the calm focus that had made him one of Earth's most respected military leaders. What about our fleet strength? 47 operational vessels of various classes, General Walsh replied. The Phoenix is our largest ship, but even she would be considered a light cruiser by galactic standards. We're facing over 2,000 alien vessels, including some that are larger than our space stations. Jake felt the weight of those numbers settling over the command deck like a dark cloud. 2,000 ships against 47 seemed like impossible odds, but he had learned during his diplomatic career that humans often found ways to win fights they should have lost. Dr. Lisa Park appeared on the communication array, her laboratory, on Earth, showing signs of frantic activity in the background. I've been analyzing the behavioral patterns I observed during the council session, she said, her scientific training evident in her methodical approach. The alien delegates weren't just confident about winning a war against us. They were eager for it, as if they had been planning this confrontation for years. Explain, Admiral Carter said, leaning forward in his chair. Lisa brought up her own holographic display showing psychological analysis charts. Every species in the galactic community achieved faster-than-light travel through conquest or alliance with already spacefaring civilizations. They built their societies on the assumption that technological advancement comes through cooperation and peaceful development over thousands of years. She paused, highlighting humanity's entry into galactic affairs. We're the only species that developed FTL independently during wartime out of pure desperation to escape our dying homeworld. This makes us completely unpredictable by their standards. Jake began to understand the implications. They're not just afraid of our expansion. They're afraid of what we might become if left unchecked. Exactly, Lisa confirmed. They've studied our history and realized that humans achieve their greatest technological breakthroughs under pressure. They want to eliminate us before we become too advanced to control. On the industrial world of New Detroit, engineer Ryan Clark received the communication burst that would change everything. His massive manufacturing complex had been operating under the cover of civilian production for over a decade. But now the time for secrecy had ended. Ryan activated Project Ironwall with a single command sequence, and across human space, hidden defense networks began powering up for the first time. Admiral Carter received Ryan's report with grim satisfaction. Project Ironwall is fully operational, Ryan announced through the quantum link. Every human colony has been surrounded by automated defense platforms disguised as mining equipment and research stations. We've been preparing for this exact scenario for 10 years. The revelation stunned even Jake, who thought he knew most of Earth's military secrets. How many platforms are we talking about? 15,000 active defense units across all colonies, Ryan replied. Each one equipped with shield generators, missile systems, and energy weapons powered by fusion reactors. The aliens think they're attacking defenseless settlements, but they're actually flying into prepared kill zones. Lieutenant Commander, Tony Green's voice crackled through the communication array from his remote monitoring station near Arcturus. Admiral, I'm detecting massive fleet movements headed toward New Haven. They've chosen our largest civilian colony as their first target, probably hoping to force our surrender by threatening innocent families. The tactical display updated to show over 2,000 alien vessels moving in perfect formation toward the New Haven system. Their approach was methodical and overwhelming, designed to demonstrate galactic power to any species watching the conflict unfold. President Helen Brooks appeared on the main communication screen from her office in the rebuilt White House on Earth. Behind her, Jake could see advisors and military staff coordinating humanity's response to the galactic ultimatum. "Admiral Carter," she said, her voice carrying the determination that had made her Earth's leader during this critical time. "You have full authorization to use any means necessary to defend our colonies." "Understood, Madam President," Admiral Carter replied. "What's our diplomatic status?" President Brooks's expression hardened. "I've just finished addressing the United Earth Assembly. We will not abandon our colonies or surrender our sovereignty to alien demands. If the galaxy wants a fight, they'll get one. But they should remember that humans have never been ones to back down from bullies." Jake watched the preparations unfolding around him and felt a strange mixture of pride and sadness. Humanity had joined the galactic community hoping for peace and cooperation, but they were about to show the galaxy why threatening a species from a death world was never a good idea. Colonel Rodriguez provided the final piece of intelligence that would shape their strategy. "I've confirmed something disturbing from our deep cover agents. The aliens have been studying human military doctrine for years, but they've focused entirely on our historical conflicts with each other. They think they understand how humans fight based on our wars on Earth." "What don't they know?" Admiral Carter asked. Amy smiled grimly. "They've never seen how humans fight when they're united against an external threat. Every war in our history has been humans fighting humans, which means we've always been holding back. They have no idea what we're capable of when we stop fighting each other and focus on a common enemy." The communication array suddenly filled with urgent signals from across human space as the alien fleet approached New Haven. Lieutenant Commander Green's voice cut through the chatter with deadly calm. "All stations, this is Arcturus Control. Enemy fleet has dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of New Haven system. Estimated time to colony, 6 hours. Admiral Carter stood up, his decision made. "All units, this is Fleet Command. Operation Guardian Shield is now active. Defend our people, protect our homes, and show the galaxy why you never threaten humans." As the Phoenix and the rest of humanity's small fleet moved to intercept the alien armada, Jake sent one final message to the Galactic Council. The transmission was brief and to the point. "We warned you. You should have listened to your own histories about what happens when you threaten a species that evolved on a death world." The response from Vextar came back within minutes, broadcast across all galactic communication channels for everyone to hear. The Zephyrian ambassador's laughter echoed through space, confident and dismissive, as if the idea of humans posing any real threat was nothing more than an amusing joke. The Battle of New Haven began at exactly 03:47 hours Galactic Standard Time when the alien armada dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. Admiral Carter watched from the bridge of the Phoenix as over 2,000 enemy vessels appeared, on his tactical display like a massive swarm of angry insects. The sight should have been terrifying, but the Admiral felt only cold determination as he prepared to show the galaxy what human engineering could accomplish when properly motivated. War Commander Thyssara of the Zephyrian Fleet opened communications, on all channels, her voice carrying the arrogant confidence of someone who had never lost a battle. "Human vessels, you are outnumbered 40-1. Surrender immediately, and your deaths will be quick. Continue this foolish resistance, and we will make examples of your colonies that the galaxy will remember for 1,000 years. Admiral Carter's response was brief and professional. "Zephyrian Fleet, you are in violation of human territorial space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The alien commander's laughter echoed across the communication channels as her massive fleet began moving toward New Haven's inner system. The human defenders scattered like frightened prey, their small vessels fleeing in seemingly random directions that made no tactical sense to the experienced alien commanders. Captain Ben Turner's destroyer Defiance led a group of smaller ships toward the asteroid belt in what appeared to be a desperate attempt to hide among the rocks. War Commander Thisara smiled as she watched the human retreat. "Follow them into the asteroids. We will crush them against the rocks and show the galaxy how easily humans break under pressure." The alien fleet pursued confidently, their larger vessels spreading out to prevent any human ships from escaping the asteroid field. The Zephyrians had fought hundreds of battles across the galaxy, and they knew how space combat worked. Smaller forces always tried to use asteroid fields or planetary rings to level the playing field, but superior numbers and firepower always won in the end. The first shock came when the asteroids began shooting back. Captain Susan Hayes watched from her hidden command center inside the largest asteroid as the alien fleet entered her carefully prepared kill zone. For 10 years, human engineers had been hollowing out every significant rock in the New Haven asteroid belt, turning them into weapon platforms, shield generators, and automated defense systems. What looked like a natural asteroid field was actually the most sophisticated defensive network ever constructed by any species in galactic history. "All stations, weapons-free," Susan commanded, and the asteroid belt came alive with deadly purpose. Thousands of hidden weapon platforms opened fire, simultaneously their fusion-powered energy beams lancing out from concealed positions throughout the field. The alien fleet found itself caught in a crossfire from directions they had never anticipated, with weapons emerging from what they thought were simple rocks floating in space. War Commander Thisara stared in disbelief as her tactical display filled with red warning indicators. "Impossible! Our sensors show no military installations in this system." Her weapons officer, a nervous creature from the insectoid hive worlds, chittered anxiously as he tried to target the hidden platforms. "Commander, our targeting systems cannot lock onto the human positions. They are using some kind of stealth technology we have never encountered." The truth was simpler and more terrifying than the aliens realized. Humans had not used exotic stealth technology to hide their weapons. They had simply built their defense platforms to look exactly like natural asteroids, complete with genuine rock surfaces and irregular shapes that fooled every sensor system the galaxy had ever developed. The weapons only revealed themselves when they fired, and by then it was too late to respond effectively. Captain Ben Turner's destroyer Defiance emerged from behind a large asteroid, no longer fleeing, but leading a coordinated attack against the confused alien formations. "All human vessels, execute Pattern 7. Let's show them how we fight in 3 dimensions." The human ships moved with precision that stunned the alien commanders. Instead of traditional fleet formations that emphasized firepower concentration, the humans scattered throughout the asteroid field in seemingly chaotic patterns that actually represented sophisticated tactical coordination. Every human vessel knew exactly where every other friendly unit was located, allowing them to execute complex maneuvers without colliding or interfering with each other. Dr. Lisa Park monitored the battle from her research station on New Haven's surface, her scientific mind analyzing the tactical data streaming in from the engagement. She realized that the alien commanders were trying to fight a 3-dimensional battle using 2-dimensional thinking, treating space combat like naval warfare on a planetary ocean. Humans had learned to fight in true 3-dimensional space, using the vertical axis and complex orbital mechanics in ways that confused enemies trained in more traditional tactics. The second major shock came when the aliens attempted to break through human lines using their numerical superiority. Commander Jake Phillips activated New Haven's primary defense system from the planet's military command center, and the colony's surface lit up with energy discharges that formed a protective barrier around the entire world. The planetary shield that protected New Haven was not created using exotic alien technology or mysterious energy sources. Instead, it was powered by hundreds of fusion reactors built into the planet's crust, generating enough energy to maintain a defensive barrier that could absorb and redirect incoming attacks. The shield did not just deflect enemy weapons. It captured their energy and fed it back into the planetary defense grid, making the barrier stronger with every alien attack. War Commander Thaisara ordered her heavy cruisers to concentrate their fire on the planetary shield, confident that sustained bombardment would eventually overload any defensive system. The result horrified her crew as their most powerful weapons were absorbed harmlessly, their energy being converted into additional power for the human defenses. "How is this possible?" she demanded, her confidence finally beginning to crack. "No species has ever developed energy absorption technology this advanced." Her science officer, a crystalline being from the inner worlds, sang its response in harmonic tones of confusion and fear. "Commander, human technology operates on completely different principles from anything in our databases. They are not using energy-efficient sustainable systems like civilized species. Their technology appears designed specifically for warfare and survival in hostile environments." The tide of battle turned decisively when Colonel Amy Rodriguez launched Operation Thunderstrike from her command ship in the outer system. Human Marines, led by Sergeant Rick Davis, used personal teleporter technology to board alien vessels directly, appearing inside enemy ships without warning or apparent method of transportation. The aliens discovered that humans had been quietly developing technologies the galactic community had banned centuries ago as too dangerous for civilized use. Human soldiers wore personal energy shields that protected them from shipboard weapons. Their reflexes had been enhanced through biological modification that bordered on genetic engineering, and they carried weapons designed to function in any environment from vacuum to heavy atmosphere. Sergeant Davis led his assault team through the corridors of a Zephyrian battlecruiser, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to move faster than the alien crew could react. "Remember, we're not here to kill everyone," he told his team through their secure communication system. "We're here to capture their command centers and show them that nowhere is safe from humans when you threaten our families." The boarding actions spread panic throughout the alien fleet as ship after ship reported human soldiers appearing inside their most secure areas. The psychological effect was devastating, as species that had never experienced boarding actions suddenly faced enemies who could materialize anywhere without warning. War Commander Thaisara realized with growing horror that her overwhelming numerical advantage meant nothing against enemies who fought using completely different rules. Her fleet was being systematically destroyed by a force 1/40th their size, using tactics and technologies that should not have existed. As alien casualties mounted and more ships fell to human attacks, she finally understood the fundamental truth that would reshape galactic politics forever. Humans had not been hiding their military capabilities out of deception or fear. They genuinely did not consider their technology impressive because they had built it all while fighting for survival on a planet that actively tried to kill them every day. News of the Battle of New Haven spread across the galaxy within hours through quantum communication networks that connected every inhabited world. What should have been a quick demonstration of galactic power had become a humiliating defeat that sent shockwaves through alien governments from the core worlds to the outer rim territories. Admiral Carter's tactical brilliance and the devastating effectiveness of human defensive systems had turned the entire galactic understanding of warfare upside down in a single engagement. On Earth, President Helen Brooks stood before the emergency session of the United Earth Assembly as reports flooded in from across human space. The news of their victory at New Haven had triggered something the galaxy had never witnessed before: total human mobilization on a scale that defied every prediction about their industrial capabilities. "Citizens of Earth and all human colonies," President Brooks announced to the packed assembly hall, "the galaxy has chosen war over peace, and we will give them exactly what they asked for." She activated the Terra Defense Protocol with a single authorization code, and across human space, the greatest industrial mobilization in galactic history began. Factory worker Nancy Miller received her new assignment at the Detroit Industrial Complex within minutes of the presidential announcement, leading the conversion of civilian manufacturing plants to weapons production with an efficiency that amazed even her supervisors. Every vehicle assembly line becomes a ship construction facility, Nancy explained to her team as massive robotic systems began reconfiguring themselves for military production. Every electronics factory starts building targeting systems and communication equipment. We have 48 hours to triple our military output, and I expect us to finish in 36. The transformation of human civilization from peaceful expansion to full military production happened faster than any alien intelligence service had thought possible. Dr. Alex Johnson coordinated the deployment of new military technologies from his research facility on Luna, supervising the mass production of weapon systems that had been theoretical concepts just days earlier. The advantage of human engineering, Alex explained to his team of scientists and engineers, is that we design everything to be built quickly using readily available materials. While other species spend years developing each new technology, we can go from concept to production in weeks. The galactic community watched in growing horror as humanity revealed the true scope of their hidden capabilities. Every human colony began launching new warships using modular construction techniques that allowed them to assemble vessels in days rather than the months or years required by other civilizations. The shipyards of New Mars, under Director Karen White's supervision, achieved the impossible by launching completed destroyers every single day. "How are they building ships so fast?" demanded Chancellor Vorthak of the Crystalline Collective during an emergency session of the Galactic Defense Committee. "Our intelligence reports said humans had limited industrial capacity." The answer came from their own military analysts, who had finally begun to understand the fundamental differences between human and alien approaches to technology. While other species built ships to last for centuries using rare materials and complex manufacturing processes, humans designed their vessels for rapid production using common elements that could be found in any star system. Captain Jake Morrison, now commanding the fast attack ship Retribution, led the first human raids deep into alien territory. His ship and dozens like it proved capable of sustained faster-than-light travel far beyond what galactic intelligence had suggested, striking military installations, supply depots, and communication networks with precision that terrified alien. "Commanders, target the communications array first," Jake ordered as his ship approached a Zephyrian supply station. "Cut off their ability to coordinate, then hit the fuel depot. We want them to know we can strike anywhere at any time." The raid was over in minutes, with the Retribution vanishing back into hyperspace before enemy reinforcements could arrive. Similar attacks began happening simultaneously across dozens of star systems, as human strike forces demonstrated mobility and coordination that seemed impossible for such a small fleet. Agent Chris Parker revealed the third shocking truth about human capabilities when he activated intelligence networks that had been embedded throughout alien governments since first contact. The humans had not placed these agents for espionage or sabotage, but for contingency planning in case they ever faced exactly this type of galactic war. Every major alien government has had human observers in their military planning committees for years, Chris reported to Admiral Carter from his intelligence headquarters on Europa. "We know their fleet movements, supply routes, and strategic priorities better than they do. When they threatened us with extinction, they activated the most comprehensive intelligence network in galactic history." The psychological impact on alien forces was devastating as they realized that humans had been preparing for this exact conflict while maintaining the appearance of peaceful cooperation. Sleeper cells and information networks the aliens never knew existed suddenly became active, providing human forces with real-time intelligence about enemy movements and plans. General Kevin Walsh coordinated ground campaigns on 3 different worlds simultaneously, his enhanced human soldiers demonstrating combat capabilities that shocked alien observers. Human troops fought effectively in environments that would kill most other species, from the methane storms of Kepler 442b to the gravity fields of the super-Earth colony Titan Prime. Major Lisa Thompson led her battalion through the crystal caves of Zephyrian mining world Alpha 7, her soldiers moving with confidence through terrain that would disorient most alien forces. "Remember your training," she told her troops as they approached the enemy installation. "We're fighting in an environment that's trying to kill us, which means we're fighting in an environment we understand better than they do." The human soldiers wore environmental suits that allowed them to operate in conditions ranging from Arctic cold to volcanic heat, their equipment designed for the harsh realities of a species that had evolved on a world where weather patterns alone could destroy entire civilizations. They used tactics that seemed to anticipate alien responses, showing coordination that suggested they had been training for this specific type of warfare their entire lives. Captain Doug Mitchell's Marine Company captured a fortified Saurian base on the jungle world of Verdant, using nothing but standard human equipment and tactics that confused the defenders completely. "They're fighting like they know exactly what we're going to do before we do it," reported the Saurian commander before his capture. The breaking point came when the Zephyrians attempted to strike directly at Earth itself. War Admiral Kethvar approached the Sol system with the largest battle fleet ever assembled, expecting to find humanity's undefended homeworld and force their immediate surrender through the threat of planetary bombardment. Instead, the Zephyrian fleet discovered that Earth's entire solar system had been transformed into the most sophisticated fortress in galactic history. Engineer Ryan Clark activated the solar defense grid from his command center hidden beneath the surface of Mars, revealing defensive installations that had been concealed throughout the system for decades. "Welcome to Sol," Ryan announced on all communication frequencies as the defense grid came online. Population: 8 billion humans who really don't like uninvited guests. The moon opened up like a giant flower, revealing massive railgun installations that had been hidden beneath artificial craters for 30 years. Every planet, asteroid, and space station in the system suddenly bristled with weapons that had been disguised as civilian infrastructure, scientific equipment, and mining operations. War Admiral Kethvar stared in disbelief as his tactical display filled with thousands of defensive positions that his sensors had completely missed during their approach. "This is impossible. How did they hide an entire military infrastructure in plain sight?" The answer was simple and terrifying. Humans had been preparing for exactly this scenario since the day they first encountered alien civilizations, building their defenses using materials and methods that fooled every detection system the galaxy possessed. As the Zephyrian fleet burned, in Earth's outer system, President Brooks sent a personal message to Ambassador Vexistar that would be remembered throughout galactic history. "You wanted to see what humans are capable of when threatened. This is us being gentle. Withdraw now, or learn why every species on our world that tried to make humans extinct is now fossil fuel." 3 months after the failed ultimatum that was supposed to put humanity in their place, the galaxy faced a new reality that none of the alien leaders had anticipated. The war they started to demonstrate human weakness had instead proven that humans operated on a completely different level of military capability than anyone had imagined. The Galactic Council chambers were notably quieter as representatives gathered for what many considered the most important session in galactic history. Admiral Sam Carter stood before the assembled alien delegates, no longer wearing the humble demeanor of a species seeking acceptance. Behind him, holographic displays showed the devastating results of the galactic community's attempt to threaten humanity. 60% casualties across all participating fleets, supply lines disrupted in 12 major sectors, and 3 alien governments facing internal rebellions sparked by their military failures against a supposedly primitive species. The mathematics of the conflict were undeniable and terrifying. Humanity had defeated the largest military coalition in galactic history using less than 50 ships and a handful of ground forces. The implications sent shockwaves through every alien government as they realized that their entire understanding of military power had been completely wrong. "Honored representatives," Admiral Carter began, his voice carrying the quiet confidence of someone who no longer needed to prove anything. "Humanity is prepared to discuss terms for ending this conflict. However, we will no longer accept the status of junior partners in galactic affairs." Captain Jake Morrison stepped forward to outline humanity's new position, his diplomatic training now backed by the undeniable weight of military victory. "We propose immediate recognition of human territorial sovereignty, an end to discriminatory expansion restrictions that have never applied to other species, and inclusion in all galactic decision-making processes proportional to our demonstrated capabilities." The human terms were surprisingly moderate considering their overwhelming victory. In exchange for formal equality and respect, humanity offered to share their defensive technologies and military expertise with any species willing to treat them as partners rather than subjects. The offer sent waves of desperate hope through alien delegations who now understood that human friendship was far more valuable than human submission. Dr. Lisa Park presented her comprehensive analysis of why the galactic community had so catastrophically underestimated human capabilities. Her research revealed fundamental differences in how species developed that explained the shocking outcome of the recent conflict. Most galactic civilizations achieved their current technological level through thousands of years of gradual, peaceful development, Lisa explained to the silent chamber. Humans compressed the same technological advancement into mere centuries while fighting constant wars on a planet with weather patterns, geological activity, and biological diversity that would qualify as natural disasters on most worlds. The revelation explained everything that had confused alien observers about human behavior. While other species built their societies around cooperation and resource efficiency, humans had evolved in an environment that rewarded rapid adaptation, aggressive problem-solving, and the ability to fight effectively under impossible conditions. The galactic response split into three distinct factions as alien governments struggled to adapt to the new reality. The first faction, led by the Altarian Republic under Ambassador Elena Vasquez's diplomatic leadership, immediately sought alliance with humanity. They recognized that human military innovation and defensive technologies could provide security against threats that conventional galactic forces could never handle. Director Paul Robinson began coordinating joint research projects that combined human military engineering with alien scientific knowledge, creating technologies that neither species could have developed alone. The partnership proved so successful that within weeks, other species were begging to join the collaborative programs. "Working with humans is like discovering that we have been building campfires while they have been splitting atoms," explained Chief Scientist Yathara of the Altarian Research Council. "Their approach to problem-solving is so fundamentally different from ours that together we can achieve things that seemed impossible just months ago." The second faction, still led by the remnants of the Zephyrian government, refused to accept human equality and began forming a shadow alliance to continue resistance against the new galactic order. However, their efforts were systematically undermined by the third revelation about human capabilities. Their intelligence and infiltration networks were far more extensive than anyone had realized. Agent Chris Parker's teams had been monitoring these resistance efforts from their very beginning, and human strike forces, led by operators like Commander Steve Adams, dismantled every conspiracy before it could take meaningful action. The would-be resistance leaders found themselves captured or neutralized with such efficiency that other species began to wonder if humans could somehow predict the future. "The truth is simpler than fortune-telling," Chris explained to Admiral Carter during one of their briefings. "We understand how desperate people think because we have been desperate ourselves many times throughout our history. When you know how someone will react under pressure, stopping them becomes a matter of timing rather than guesswork." The third faction, representing the majority of galactic species, simply wanted to avoid further conflict at any cost. They voted to accept every human demand by overwhelming margins, not out of conviction or newfound respect, but out of pure terror at what humanity might do if provoked further. President Helen Brooks addressed the galaxy from the rebuilt United Nations building on Earth, her words broadcast to every inhabited world through the same quantum communication networks that had carried news of human victories. Her message was both conciliatory and unmistakably firm. "We never wanted to be your enemies," she said, looking directly into the cameras that would carry her image across the galaxy. "We came to you seeking friendship and partnership among the stars. You chose to see our desire for independence as a threat to your established order. The galaxy is large enough for all of us to prosper, but it is not large enough for any species to dictate terms to others." The speech marked the official end of the conflict, but more importantly, it established the principles that would govern galactic politics for generations to come. No species would again make the mistake of threatening humanity, and no alliance would be formed without considering how humans might respond to perceived aggression. 6 months later, the dedication ceremony for the new Galactic Defense Academy took place on Luna, Earth's moon. The Academy represented everything that had changed in galactic affairs, training mixed-species military units using human tactical doctrine combined with the best technologies from across the galaxy. Admiral Carter served as the Academy's first commandant, working alongside alien officers who had learned to respect rather than dismiss human methods. The sight of human instructors teaching alien cadets how to fight effectively would have been unthinkable just a year earlier, but now it represented the new reality of galactic cooperation. Captain Jake Morrison, now promoted to Admiral and serving as Earth's primary galactic representative, stood on the lunar surface watching the first joint patrol fleet launch from Earth orbit. Human vessels flew alongside alien ships in formations that represented genuine cooperation rather than forced submission. Dr. Lisa Park observed the mixed fleet departing for the galaxy's outer regions to investigate reports of unknown threats beyond the galactic rim. She realized that this cooperative arrangement might have been achieved peacefully if the galaxy had simply treated humans as equals from the beginning, but perhaps the painful lesson had been necessary. As she watched the ships disappear into hyperspace, Lisa reflected on the irony of their situation. Humans had joined the galactic community seeking peace and scientific advancement. Through their misguided attempt to subordinate humanity, the aliens had forced them to reveal capabilities that now made them the galaxy's dominant military power. But the universe beyond their borders contained dangers that would require the combined strength of all species working together. The monitoring stations were detecting strange signals from beyond the galactic rim, signals that suggested their newfound unity might soon face its ultimate test against threats that would make their recent conflict seem like a minor disagreement. The day the galaxy learned why you never threaten humans had ended, but the story of what humanity and their new allies might accomplish together was just beginning.